is that first, it's important to acknowledge that aluminum is more tariff exposed than some of our competing materials. Not all of them, but at least some of them.
Why? Why is that?
Because, well, first and foremost, because our upstream, we're in metal deficit. And so we do have to import aluminum in the upstream. Now, when I say that, too often that lands with the general public as the whole aluminum industry is outside of the United States. Absolutely untrue.
Right.
As a matter of fact, if we opened every smelter today in the United States that we need to service our demand, that would be about, at most, 8 to 10,000 jobs. In the meantime, the industry is 164,000 jobs. And so it's not that's not where the industry is.
Nope.
The industry is our rolling mills, our extrusion plants, our cutting and slitting. And that's just within the boundaries of what I consider my membership for the forging facilities and so on and so forth. Outside of our facility, it's 700,000 jobs. That's the machinists, the metal service centers, the recycling facilities, 700,000 jobs against 8,000 smelting jobs. So that's a really important thing to think about. But getting back to your question about why we are more tariff exposed, that small number of employment does drive our smelters outside of the country right now, mostly in Canada. And that metal is what we have to have for all of those downstream jobs to be successful. Right. Now, in the material world, when we look across materials, there are just some materials that are a little bit more domestically oriented. The petrochemical supply chain for plastic is a relatively short supply chain. Yeah. And we domestically pump and drill for petrochemical feedstocks, which is not to say that we aren't dependent on some feedstock in that industry from Canada. Right. But so I could go across the materials, but we have done that analysis and we know that aluminum is a bit more tariff exposed. Not a big deal, but something that we do have to acknowledge. Mm-hmm. Then when you look at the impact of tariffs, at what point can that exposure drive a material substitution in any application? Material substitution, good engineers should be looking at material substitution all the time because you can't be. We're coming from a world that designed, for instance, in the building and construction world, we're coming from a world that designed in brick, concrete, and wood. We used to hear that all the time. That's what people were taught in school. Right. That's what you design. And we turned the corner there. We got the aluminum design manual out in the world, and we got people to start thinking about designing in aluminum. And you see the results today all around you. But part of that discussion is about what material is the best for every application. That question has driven the use of a lot of aluminum. We're a young metal, and we're still substituted every day as a more highly engineered preferred material for legacy applications or material uses and applications. But that trend can turn in the other direction. And so we're still watching that.